it's like old comedian friend of mine actually said that if anyone were catched in their room in 1985 looking at this many pictures of themselves, they would have been locked away.
Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in death metal legend Anders Odden of
Hello,
Cadaver.
how are you, man?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm trying to do this interviews interesting for people interviewing me, so I'm always in different clothing.
I do the same thing when I have many interviews in a day. I change my shirts and hats. It's weird. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I just want to look different from video to video.
You know this band?
Oh, that shirt is great.
Yeah.
That's amazing. They look so upset.
Beaten to Death is the
Yeah,
band.
Cat Olympics. That's fantastic. Obviously, we're getting together today to talk about the brand new Cadaver album, Age of the
Yep.
Offended, coming out on Nuclear Blast Records. Always, third release. There it is. He's got the vinyl right there. Third release in 2 or 3 years between a couple of EPs and now another full length EP, another full length. So you've been busy. You're always working on a multitude of things. And what's been the last couple of years of your life like writing this album and living your life?
Well, it's been pretty productive ever since we started working on this album, actually, literally 2 years ago now. Seriously. So back then it was the pandemic and everything, so we just had to move on with all the ideas we had because we had so much material. But we finalized 12 tracks plus an intro, which is now all on the album. And I'm really super stoked to finally present this to the world because I think it's a seminal Cadaver album. It's one where we really try to incorporate all our musical influences and our identity into a new stratosphere, and we're really excited about it.
After 30 years, a lot of bands are resting on their laurels, and I'm really happy to say, in my experience, you have never made the same record twice, and I do appreciate that you've always tried to bring something different to the table every time.
Yeah, I mean, we were never a kind of band that had any laurels to really be, lean back on, and I don't think that would have been my motivation, even if we had. So I would have gone forward all the time.
And then obviously the world will never stop giving you a lot of inspiration. I find the lyrics and the songs on this story to be very pointed and direct. Obviously we're always looking at the folly of humankind, but this record in particular is like, hey, dummies, it's getting worse. And I
Yeah,
love the attitude. There's a lot of attitude in the delivery here that I really love.
yeah, no, it's the world will always turn better and worse at the same time, it seems. I think it's also a part of growing up, because if I were now a kid at 13, being born in 2010, I would probably not care about the news or whatever, or the world would just be like it is to me then, as you know, now, as it was back when I was 13, getting into this music. So the world's changing with us, the way we grow up and do things. But I would say this is a very interesting time to live in. Historically, we are in a different kind of era again, which feels inspiring more than anything. I think all the idiocy about people getting offended about all stupid things they read about in social media will eventually go away, or even be something we would be embarrassed about this time and age. I think one of my analysis is that back when the spotlight of any sort of media would be about sports people, politicians, movie stars, music stars, or famous people from, you know, other ranges in life, like scientists or writers or actors and all that stuff. Back then, when people who actually wanted to express something were the only people in the media and the only people saw, it was a different way or everything. But now it feels like everybody, because of social media, are a superstar in their own world somehow, and that leads to people being super cautious about what they say on recordings and how they present their life as picture perfect on Instagram or Facebook or whatever there is. And it's like old comedian friend of mine actually said that if anyone were catched in their room in 1985 looking at this many pictures of themselves, they would have been locked away.
Yeah, the social media leads to a certain kind of narcissism that's not good for you. But at the same time, my hope is that maybe we're going to pass through this age. It's never going to go away, but like maybe we're going to pass through this age, and maybe there'll be some kind of new enlightenment and a new interest in less narcissism and more self-improvement, and reading and creating other things like art, not content to be, I get why. I understand why. Like the world is a difficult and lonely place, and it's easy to escape to social media and get attention you're not getting in your regular life. I work in marketing, so I know, but it's also,
Yeah.
and bands and artists are all trying to vie for attention, right? But I hope it leads to something better, not much worse.
Yeah, I think the only attention that is worth seeking is not to be into getting attention. If you are basically doing the best you can in some sort of craft and presenting it out there, whether it be, music or literature or painters or anybody creative, all you can do is to improve yourself to where you are in the moment. And if that catches on somewhere, somehow, it's really not about you. It's about the audience finding whatever you do interesting enough to use it in their lives. And what is interesting right now is that there's such a big variety of subcultures at the same time. Finding followers in a bigger way than ever because of the way the world is connected through the internet. I mean, back when I started out, to even get recordings I wanted to listen to, I had to either get in on cassette tapes from someone or go to someone's house that had something that I didn't have. And right now you have literally everything you would ever desire, especially music and film wise online, which is a huge difference. But it also is the sad thing with having everything available at the same time is also to try to go and hunt for treasures. And I think the underground scene that I grew up in, one of the biggest points for us in the beginning was never to attract attention from as many people as possible. It was always about getting attention from the right kind of people. If they were 3, 5, 1,000 or 10,000, wouldn't really matter that much. The only thing that mattered was that the right kind of people paid attention to whatever you were doing. If you were doing something and attracted people you didn't connect with or didn't like at all, there was something wrong with you. You know what I mean? So now there's a lot of new artists that go out online and think that, oh, they can read all the numbers, anything gets viewed and liked and blah blah blah, and they see that first and they assume that, if nobody have heard about this thing almost, or if it's a small number, it must be bad. But actually, it might be the best thing ever. You never know, because somebody has created something, put it out there, and probably not paid attention to promoting it at all. And you can find treasures everywhere, in all kinds of things. So I think the notion that we all have to have huge numbers to do something worthwhile is a very bad one. It's a very, where actually it's I don't really understand why that is a factor, even, because, as I say, the factor should be the quality and of course, you want to grow your fan base, but you want to grow it to the people who actually cares about it, and you don't want to have like a hit single out with this kind of music, because that would destroy the whole thing. That's a given. But getting the right people, or the people more correctly, the people who are open for different kinds of things into this is obviously one goal we have. But I don't have any rush to anything. I just want to do as good as you can and let people know that we are doing what we're doing, and then see what happens.
Right on. I'm very fortunate as a music journalist. Music gets sent to me all the time, and I have places that I go to discover treasures, as you say. How do you discover new music? Where do you find the music to listen to that's brand new and not the same stuff you love from back in the day?
Yeah, it's either through other people sending me links or heads up on stuff, or sometimes I'm going into a research on certain things. I have my own studio, so I like to know more about recording all the time, because I'm interested in how things should sound, and how people get things to sound this and that way, whether it be equipment or ways to record or whatever it is. So I'm really appreciating YouTube channels uh, out there with a lot of information and insights on recording or songwriting or stuff like this, or soundscapes, or stuff like that. I'm always interested, and I'm very fortunate also to have diversity in people I know. So for instance, whenever I go to Ronnie Litekra, the guitarist who's on the album, he's always playing things to me from the 70s that I've never heard about. He has a huge collection of things, which is, for some strange reason, not really up there at the moment, or was never really big, but has really interesting music and interesting things. And it's always good to hear something that surprises me. That's really what I'm going for.
Nice. You love to hear it. Let's do a little track by track of the album. I'll
Yeah,
drop the album title. I know you have the record right there, but I'll name the song and you can just comment on it. Whatever you feel like sharing about it, we would love to hear from you. So
yep,
Age of the Offended starts with the opening track, which is the awesome Sycophants Swing intro track.
yeah. Well, thank you. This song was written as a anticipating intro piece. I wanted to have something that sounded a little bit like a soundtrack piece, and we invited the trombone player who was playing the intro on the very first Cadaver record, which is now 33 years ago. And the hallucinating anxiety opens with some strange backwards and forwards trombone things with distortion, and it's basically the same musician coming in to do the tribute again. So I'm really super stoked that he could do it, and I'm really happy that the track turned out to how it sounds like something from the 1920s into something from the 2020s. So that was the aim, and that was done really nicely, I think.
Great stuff. The first full track of the album is the second track, Post Apocalyptic Grinding.
Yeah, this was actually one of the tracks that sparked me into the direction of several tracks on the album. I wrote those riffs in a frenzy and sent it off to Dirk, and he immediately came back with some amazing drum ideas. So I basically consolidated this track as the first one uh, when we began working on what songs to include on the album. So that was the opening track for the writing process, and it's still now the opening track on the album. So there you go.
Nice. Scum of the Earth is next.
Yeah, that song has a very different story. Actually, I began writing the main parts of this way back in 2011, and back then it was in my demo vault for a while. I actually had one old version of the song where Hank von Hell from Turbo Negro was singing on it. That was a total different animal than what it became now, because I realized when I listened back to that demo that we only had a couple of themes, and I wanted to elaborate more. So I wanted to go into this more kind of showing the band's more kind of grindcore past as well, with nods to Napalm Death especially, and some of the industrial bands we like. So obviously everybody who's a metal nerd knows that the first album from Napalm Death is named Scum. So that's kind of where that inspiration came from, and it's one of those songs that goes into all kinds of strange themes. I saw somebody said online that it was way too industrial for them. I'm like, yeah, but it's supposed to be, but somehow, but it's definitely a grindcore song in my ears.
Nice. I like all those references, and we were big Hank Hell fans. So sorry for your loss. He was a
Yeah,
fantastic artist.
yeah, thank you.
The title track is next, "The Age of the Offended."
Yeah, this one was actually the last one I wrote for the album, and the chorus has something I used to do as a finger uh, exercise for warming up. Then I just elaborated that more, and I was kind of unsure if it's stolen from something, but I think it's inspired more than stolen. Maybe it's stolen too from some classical music thing that I grew up with, the melodies. So I wanted to also interpret, have the feeling of some baroque, like this would probably be like Beethoven or Mozart or something, that kind of inspiration. So to me, it was a perfect song to wrap up the songwriting process with, because then I was like, okay, now I have the whole album. So that also sparked the idea of having the title of the album being that, The Age of the Offended, because that's, at the end of the day, seemed to fit everything I did. So it kind of concluded the album when we were working on it.
Nice. "Death Revealed" is the fifth track.
This song came to me very swiftly. Just had some ideas that suddenly just came out, and then when I was doing initial vocal or lyric testing, I realized that I wanted to make a psychedelic track. The lyrics are super psychedelic, and it's directly referring to DMT. So anyone that have tried that and read those lyrics will totally understand what I'm trying to say here. It's about an insane trip. I've never tried DMT listening to the song, but I imagine that would be kind of frightening. Hopefully, it will. I'm not recommending listening to this on DMT unless you want like a insane roller coaster ride. But that's sometimes what you need. I don't know.
Sometimes it's what you need. "The Shrink" is next.
Yeah, that's a song that was a leftover song from Cadaver in 1993. This was one of the songs we played live a lot in '93, and it was meant to be recorded for the third album of Cadaver that was never materialized in the original way. So I rewrote some of the parts to make it like a full song, because we had a different version, but this is the final version, and it was called The Shrink back then. So I just wanted to have a nod back to the old days, 30 years ago, with the lyric theme, so In Pains and so on. So that's a nod to the past.
Excellent. "Crawl of the Cadaver" is next.
Yeah, this is actually a song written by Dirk Verbeuren, and he wrote the lyrics for it as well. And his initial demo sounds much more like a thrash song, so I necrofied his things into my style. And what you're hearing now is a true collaboration between the two of us. And one fun fact that could go with this is that if you listen to the brand new, I mean, not brand new anymore, but the latest Megadeth album, there's one song written by Dirk there as well. So if you listen to this song and you figure out which song is his song on the Megadeth album, you can clearly hear him in there, which is great.
Awesome. We're big Dirk fans here and long time, and I love watching him pop up on different records across metal. He's so great. We had an interview with him not too long ago. The Drowning Man is next.
Yeah, this song has some elements of another important inspiration for us, which is both Black Sabbath and Celtic Frost. So I wanted to make a nod to more old school type riffs and do a more heavy song where most of the stuff is kind of downbeat, but it kicks off into this most insane blast beats on the whole record as well. So it has the whole range of Cadaver within one song. I'm really happy about this song actually.
Awesome. The ninth track is The Sticker the Better. Oh, The Sicker
Yeah,
the Better. Sorry. The
yeah,
Sicker the Better.
yeah, yeah.
Can't read today without my glasses. Sorry.
No, no, no. I'm with you. Yeah, we're all needing reading glasses. Well, the sicker the better is obviously figures in American. It's slang in America. If it's sick, it's really cool. But I thought, how to make all this. I wanted to make like since I was sick, I'm much better now, so it goes with that too. So my notion of being sicker and better is very much here with me. So all the time I'm feeling better and better, and sicker in a good way, which is positive.
Nice. Dissolving Chaos is the 10th track.
Yeah, Dissolving Chaos came to be because of the involvement of Eilert Solstad, the double bass player, and the opening riff is what he played for me. Very strange, weird riff. It's uh, his other most important contribution to Cadaver in the past was the song Bypassed from In Pains. That was his riff too, so you can kind of hear his involvement with the band again. And I created everything else from his riff, basically. And it turned out to be a very, very different kind of song. And then when Ronnie did this talk box thing with his guitars on top, it just like it's one of the songs when I play the whole record to female audiences, they love this the most for some reason. I have no idea, but they seem to really get down into what we're doing there with a different kind of ears. So that's interesting too. And the lyrics are entirely about psilocybin tripping. So that's the psychedelic track on that part of the record.
Excellent. Deadly Metal is next.
Yeah, Deadly Metal is a cover song from TNT, and TNT was the band that made Ronnie Lee Taker famous in the 80s. And if you listen to the original, it's like a typical 80s upbeat heavy metal song, a little bit like almost towards speed metal, like Accept at the time, with high pitched vocals. But I realized I wanted to change the whole song, so I made a demo where I basically destroyed the whole song and sent it to Ronnie to get his approval to just record it like a destroyed version of a TNT song. And this sparked the whole notion from him that he wanted to not only play on this song, but when we came to the studio with the finished song, he exploded out of creativity and recorded guitar on all the songs on the album, which is insane and super great. So that really sparked the uh, whole idea and the whole inspiration for the fact that he's on the album. So without that one, this would have been so different.
Amazing. The Craving is the next to last track on the album.
Yeah, The Craving was written actually way back too. This is an old song I had sitting around almost 10 years ago or even more, that I made before I met Dirk in 2014. I started to work on what would become new Cadaver material from when I started working with him. But this was one of the songs that I felt that was really good, but kind of left behind in my archives. So I dug it out, and with the whole thing that Ronnie also did on this one, it turned out to be a really, really great song. But it's one of those songs that changed every time we did something new to it. It changed again. So I went from being not so happy with it in the beginning to be super happy with it now. So it's really a different kind of track, and also nod to my uh, years between the latest and the new version of Cadaver.
Awesome. And the final track is Freezing Isolation.
Yeah, this one was definitely written during the pandemic. You can tell from the isolation part, and it felt like a song that just wanted to get out. It started with this riff that is the chorus, and then everything just came into place super fast when I was writing it initially. And I thought at some point in the process that this would be the opening track on the album, but then uh, cleverly we decided to have it as the last song because it also ends with a super insane crescendo, and it has the double bass with a bow and this super heavy riffs with all the most insane Ronnie work on the whole album. So I really hope people listen to albums, listen to the whole thing as a, one long story, but I know how things work now. But when you have this on the record, like an album, I think this song ends in a way that makes you immediately want to listen to side A again. So hopefully that works. We'll see.
Right on. I love back to thinking about albums in terms of sides and sequencing. Thank you so much for sharing all that information about the composing and all the notes. Thank you. That was amazing. Just for a last question, there's so many things I could ask, but I wanted to just briefly talk about. I really love you've been in music for 35 plus years, and I really love the work you've done with the Inferno Music Festival and the Inferno Music Conference, which was kind of your brainchild. And I know you've been conducting the tours now, the local tours of, Norwegian metal history and black metal history. Just talk for a second about that. I think it's such a gift to have for fans that you can share this information with the community.
Well, thank you. It's I came to realize that now being 50 and having experienced what I have from the very beginning, I have a story that people want to hear, so listen to, and it's basically my personal story. Of getting involved with this kind of music and what happened in the early 90s that was kind of overshadowing the music for a little while, and things went crazy. But this story is so strong in people's minds, and everybody has an opinion about it. So I wanted to share like a version of it where you can realize that this is about real human beings being very young, doing things they, for the first time or very early on in their careers. And that whole thing has developed into the folklore itself, it seems. And now we are actually launching Cadaver TV on YouTube as well, where we have episodes coming. And I'm interviewing different kinds of artists who I knew back then or have become friends with in New York Times about the age of the offended and how things are so different from when we started out. And I think it's an interesting time to try to give some more structure to the whole story. I mean, I always say it's my story is my story. Everybody has their own different views and every different part of it, but I know I was there, so I'm kind of, I've been through since I was 13 when I was invited to the rehearsal space of Mayhem for the first time before Death Crush. I've been very close to the core people of the whole Norwegian scene, and we actually do have a version of the first Mayhem lineup. We have rehearsed a set with all the songs from Pure Fucking Armageddon and Death Crush. So that's gonna be a live act as well. So we'll see what that will give. But I'm very much a part of the old gang, but we all hang together sometimes and have fun still, and it's good to see that so many people are interested in what we did back then and still are doing.
Amazing. And you're helping preserve it. So again, thank you so much. The Age of the Offended is the new album from Cadaver coming out on Nuclear Blast Records. Anders Odden, once again, such an honor to talk to you for a second time. Thanks for hanging out with Ghost Cult.
Oh, thank you very much, and make sure to listen to the album back and forward if you like it. Tell your friends like we did in the past, and we hope to be out on the road sometime in 2024. So until then, enjoy the album.